Welcome to another edition of Retro Rambling Nonsense. Nonsense, as people say all too often, being the operative word. But, Hayley.
Yes.
Lovely to get a glimpse of your bedroom.
Oh, thank you. It's all pink.
And Duncan, lovely to get... Yes, it is very pink and satiny. And Duncan, lovely to get a little... Yeah, your studio's come study.
Yes.
Yeah. Box room.
Yeah, come anything. You can do what you like in this room.
It's a very small room and it gets very hot.
Aren't computers hot? To anybody who might be new to this, Duncan, Hayley and I are pals because we're like-minded people who are periodically in mainstream broadcasting, but we find it more comfortable being out towards the edges where we can just be a little bit more honest, I think is a fair way of putting it. And what we ramble about is things that we remember from the past. And I can't remember why oh, yes. You know, the algorithm on YouTube can be very annoying because it teaches you who you really are.
Yeah.
Or what mood you're in, I find. Because I find that, say you've had a bit to drink and you start Googling or YouTubing stuff that you go down a rabbit hole, but then the next day when you're sober, it feeds you that same kind of video, and you're like, I don't remember looking up that. Why the hell is it telling me that? And then suddenly you have this recollection of, oh, yeah, at 2 o'clock in the morning I was looking at, like, why blue whales are in, I don't know, something or other. You know, like something really random.
Is that what you look at? Blue whales in the ocean?
No, I just thinking of the most random thing that normally is what comes up. And I'm like, I can't even think why I would even get to that. How did I get to that point is normally the question. How did I get there?
I'll be very open and very candid. I tend to find myself normally after the third glass on YouTube. And what I do is I have an obsession with 1980s Scottish pop and rock groups. So the most obvious one that you guys might have heard of is a band called Deacon Blue. You've heard of Deacon Blue, right?
Brilliant.
Big song, Dignity, you know the song, Dignity by Deacon Blue. So I'm a massive Deacon Blue fan. But around that time, there were loads of other 1980s rock and pop bands who didn't quite have the same success. So, for example, there's a great band called Love and Money, all right? So after my third glass, you know, I've watched a couple of Deacon Blue live videos. I urge anyone to see Dignity being played live in Glasgow because it's very emotional and people love it, right? And then the algorithm, or I start thinking, oh, there was a great band called Love and Money. So I Google I search on YouTube Love and Money, and then a load of archive footage of the band Love and Money appears. And I think, oh, and then there's Hue and Cry. And I forget all about it. I'm going to spend hours just watching these videos of predominantly live performances. There are occasionally the odd Top of the Pops performance, or sometimes, you know, a gig in a sort of like a back room of a pub in Dundee, with all these slightly obscure, predominantly 1980s Scottish bands. I love it because it's cathartic, but also next time on YouTube, I do find myself looking at my viewing history, going, "Blimey, what was I doing at 10 to 2 this morning?"
No, I'm exactly the same. Hayley?
Yeah, and what I would say is my friends, or one of my friends has got a little hack. What you do is you create a new YouTube profile, which is only to be used when you're either in a really bad mood, or you're drunk, or there's something going on, which means it's like it's the alternative view. It's your version 2. And if you do that, that means it doesn't infiltrate into your usual algorithm. And also, I suppose it means you can keep it kind of secret, because it means that if you put it on the telly or something, you can just, you just keep your usual profile on the telly that everyone watches in the family, but your secret one you just keep on your phone. And that sounds really dodgy now, the way I'm saying it, but I promise you it makes sense.
What are you going to stick on your private one that you wouldn't want normal people or members of your household or family to see? I mean, what are you watching, Hayley?
No, it's nothing dodgy, I promise. Let's stop this conversation because it's going nowhere. But Tommy, you tell us what do you...
That's why you want to stop it, because it was going somewhere.
This all started in my head.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way, you two. That was a very interesting and informative encyclopedia of insights there, I must say. I Googled Boney M. I think I may have mentioned this on a programme before. I Googled Boney M because I read a piece in which someone said, was there ever anybody as ridiculous as the lead singer who wasn't the lead singer in Boney M. So I YouTubed Rah Rah Rasputin, never.
Yeah, rah, rah.
And I found myself going, yes, he's fascinating because he is not human. He can't be human. But then I looked at the comments, and the top comment was, "There goes my algorithm."
Yeah.
Sure enough, I now get offered Boney M. And for some reason, stitching this back, Duncan, to your interest in Scottish pop, I also get, "I would walk 10,000 miles, and I would walk 10,000."
Well, that's interesting. So what?
Wait, no, not by the Proclaimers or whatever they were,
right.
but by that Doctor Who, the Scottish Doctor Who. What's his name? The great actor who played Doctor Who. Him. David somebody or other.
Yeah.
David Tennant. Is he
no,
Scottish?
Tennant, that's it.
No.
And at the Scottish Nobel Prizes or some such Scottish BAFTAs, he sang it, walking from his dressing room into the auditorium and onto the stage, and he sang it brilliantly. He performed it brilliantly, and I couldn't get it out of my head, and now I can't get it off my algorithm.
but here's the thing: I don't understand what is the link then between Boney M's Rasputin and David Tennant doing a Proclaimers song? How does the algorithm decide that somehow that's linked?
I think part of its DNA. I think it has a random chromosome in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And hey, listen, guys, it's coming. We won't be able to use the word artificial much longer.
Yeah, because it's
going to be real.
Yeah.
It's
What else?
just getting too good.
What else do you watch on YouTube from the past, Tom? What do you find yourself delving into?
Never me. Only under duress do I YouTube myself, and there's enough on there. If I haven't got any recordings of myself at all, but you can see me with Madonna and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and people do, and then they alert me to it. But what do I watch on YouTube? I like to watch repeats of things that are guaranteed to make me laugh, such as an American couple reviewing Fawlty Towers. I've never seen it before.
The watch-along things. I've only just discovered those. They're the most bizarre, I would say, a little bit weird thing, where it's a bit like Gogglebox, isn't it? You watch somebody watching something.
Yes.
Mostly Americans do it, so I don't know if it's just a trend over there. But in some ways it's good, but in some ways it's like, why am I wasting half an hour watching somebody else watch something else? Like, is that really sad? Or is that genius? I'm not sure. Or somewhere in between.
The ones that I get offered and therefore I watch, sometimes all the way through, but mostly the first 3 minutes, are Americans, youngish Americans, trendy Americans. What's happening? They start off with that. What's up? What is up, everybody? They start like that. Oh, God. And then they review something British, but they're always very flattering about it, and it makes you feel vaguely proud.
Mm.
So I think that's the kick that maybe, unwantedly, I'm getting out of it. Some Americans say that Monty Python's the funniest thing ever, or that Fawlty Towers is the funniest thing ever, or that rugby is the greatest sport ever. They didn't know it existed. And so you're watching it for a little bit of self-congratulation, albeit vicarious.
Yeah.
Is that the right word, vicarious?
And is that the new holiday video? I'm just trying to think of like 30, 40 years ago when YouTube doesn't exist. We used to watch other people's holiday videos, didn't we, on Cine Film? Do you remember? Well, we used to have a projector at home. My mum and dad used to have a projector that after holiday, get back, was it like a little cartridge type thing? You guys all know more.
Right.
Yeah, and it was only black and white from what I remember.
Well, there were two things. So, I mean, you might have had, I know a bit about this because I'm sad. So you might have had, before video recorders or camcorders, you would have had either a Super 8 film camera, which would actually film, so it's proper film, and it would record it in moving pictures, if you like, but without sound. And then you would have a projector at home, and what would happen is you'd get it converted into basically, I forget what the format is, but then you would show it on the projector through a light in the big lens, and you'd put it onto a screen or a wall, and you could watch, basically, it was silent, of someone's trip to go and see the apes at Gibraltar. That was one thing. The other thing, And I know this because when my mum died about 10 years ago, clearing out the loft, there were bags and bags and boxes of slides. So slides would be pictures that you take on a camera, but what you would do, you can get them converted into slides. They're about that big, and what you would do is you'd have a carousel on a slide machine, and like you would click. I'm gonna do my click. This is a picture of the Rock of Gibraltar. Click. This is the harbour of Gibraltar. Click. This is an 8. And it would be all of that kind of stuff. And I actually went to someone. It was quite sweet, actually. We got some Russian friends, and I'm just trying to think.
Are they friends?
They're friends.
They're friends.
Yeah, because my daughter went to school with a girl, and her folks are Russian. And so this is going back about 8 years ago. And they invited us for dinner. And after dinner, we sat on the sofa and we had a slideshow. Which I found quite touching and deliciously retro, because, what you could do is just, film all of your holiday and stuff on your phone, couldn't you? But these guys had actually gone to the trouble of getting their pictures they'd taken converted into slides, and we sat on the sofa and we watched a slideshow of their trip to wherever it was. I can't remember. I think it might have been Finland. So, so that's what, in the olden days, that's what people used to do.
I do remember, and I'm trying to think, maybe we had both, because I can't lean towards either of those options that you just told me. They both kind of ring bells in different ways. I don't think there was sound. I definitely don't think there was sound. I don't remember there being sound. But equally, I don't think it was pictures. I think it was like a video, really. But I remember it was all really grainy and had lines going down it. It wasn't particularly good quality. But it was just like on the wall. The projector was on, like, backed up by the wallpaper in the living room, which was all really patterny in the 80s, wasn't it? So it wasn't a particularly good setup, right? Because you didn't have a blank wall to put the projector up against.
No.
Or to go up against. It was all this flowery, psychedelic wallpaper.
I think that sounds like Super 8 film to me.
Yes, Hayley. When in many decades' time, when you're old enough to get your bus pass, you'll have to take a passport style photograph of yourself, and they will take over your camera for you, and they'll make you stand next to a white wall. But none of us have got a white wall. No. So what you're going to have to do is balance precariously on your bed so that the wall that we can see now will be behind you. Yeah. And British Rail or whoever will accept the photograph. Yeah. Because that's what we do in our house. And I found out a fantastic trick. If you haven't got a white wall behind you, but you've got a light grey carpet, which we have in the bedroom, all right, what you can do is lie on the bed on your back with your head just sticking out over the edge of the bed so that you can frame yourself with the light grey carpet behind you, which passes. But you know what it does? Because it pulls your face down, gravity, because you're lying down, pulls your face down, and you look 10 years younger.
You get a free facelift, wow.
You do! It is
Brilliant.
Just like a beard, which I always describe as a poor man's facelift.
Yeah,
or you could just go to the railway station and sit in a photo booth.
Yeah.
No, I can't be bothered, really. I'd rather not leave the house. Generally speaking, I've never wanted to leave the house.
You've got to that point now where you just don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's like George and Jerry Seinfeld are waiting for some guy, and Jerry says, I don't like having to go to meetings. George goes lamenting to himself. He just goes, I've never been to a meeting I didn't want to go to.
I think there's a lot to be said for it. I increasingly, as a jogging...
I've never been to a meeting I did want to go to. Sorry, I got that wrong.
I think the older I get as a freelance jobbing hack, my favourite way of earning money is not leaving the house.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I've got two jobs where I don't have to leave the house. One where I write something on this laptop, and the other where I record late night radio shows in this room. The other stuff I sadly have to leave the house for. A bit annoying, really. My dream is to actually not ever leave the house and earn money.
That's it.
That's not true. That's not true, because occasionally I have to go somewhere with a dog for a walk, just for a change of scenery. But yeah, my
it's
dream
funny
is
though,
not
isn't it?
to have to go to London to earn money. There you are.
When you're younger, I mean really younger, I mean school age, you don't want to be at home at all, do you? Remember being grounded? That was like the worst thing known to man, wasn't it? Do you remember if you did something wrong, you'd be grounded? Your mum would say, right, you're grounded for the weekend, and that would be like hell. But now, if you said to me you don't have to go out all weekend, I'd be like, great, brilliant, bring it on. I can sit in my pyjamas all weekend.
Yes, actually, those non-tactile forms of punishment. My parents didn't use that one, the grounded thing. I think they wanted to get me out of the house. If anything, what's the opposite of being grounded? Being airborne, I suppose.
Boarding school, maybe.
My mum said, right, you are not in the house for the next 2 weekends. I go, okay.
Or the naughty step. Did you ever get sent to the naughty step? I did a few times.
One, no.
I'd be like, right, go and sit in the hallway for 10 minutes and think about your life and your decisions.
Really?
One of the schools that I went to, right, and it was a normal run-of-the-mill school, they used to have a thing called the naughty chair or the naughty bench that was outside the head teacher's office. And it was a stroke of absolute genius, because part of the punishment was the idea that people would walk past you, right, and go, he's obviously done something wrong, okay? But the only people who knew about it were the people, obviously that was the naughty chair or the naughty bench outside the head teacher's office, were the people at the school. Part of the so-called humiliation or the punishment is the head teacher's office was right by the main entrance to the school, right? So strangers would come in, and part of the kind of feeling that they wanted, the head teacher or the teacher wanted you to experience, is that there would be people coming in who'd never been in the school before going, oh, he's clearly a wrong 'un. But it only dawned on me about 15 years ago that they wouldn't have any concept that was the naughty chair or the naughty bench. So, a postman coming in, looking at you going, right, you'd be thinking, oh, God, he thinks I've done something wrong. That's why I'm sitting here. He wouldn't have a clue that was the naughty chair or the naughty bench. It's a form of psychological torture.
Very clever.
It is. Yeah. It is, absolutely. So I got offered a YouTube video yesterday, of a thing called Fireball XL5, which is one of the early puppet shows made by Jerry Anderson. And then it all came tumbling back, all those puppet programmes. And I got to thinking, I must talk to Duncan and Hayley about this, because I think they don't do puppets anymore. It would actually work on YouTube, wouldn't it? A person with a puppet. Hello there! How are you today? I'm fine, thanks. Good. That sort of...
Yeah, you're right.
It would work.
Yeah.
I was at an auction house 3 weeks ago, for reasons I won't bore you with. Nothing to do with an auction, it's just a venue for something. And walking around one of the lots, and I wish I'd bought it, or I wish I'd gone back when the auction was on and had a flutter, was literally a cardboard box full of Punch and Jerry characters.
Judy.
Yeah, Punch and Judy characters. Yeah, I don't know who Jerry is.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there was Punch, and there was Judy, there was a policeman, there was a crocodile, there was the baby, all made out of wood. And it was like lot 156, and I thought, I fancy a bit of that, because that would be great. But I didn't go back.
Yeah, I used to watch that on the beach at Margate in my summer holidays, Punch and Judy.
Did it take you in? I mean, were you drawn into it? I always found that there was something rather remote about it, as though I was sitting even beyond the back row. It never drew me in. I never cared about the outcome, and I certainly didn't laugh at any of the so-called jokes. Aww. And I did find the violence a bit, token. And the silly voice as well. I couldn't understand what the man was saying as Punch.
That's exactly it.
Apparently you could buy, and I think I may have bought one and regretted it, a little thing that you put in your mouth to make the Mr. Punch sound. And I couldn't make it work. And I was glad about that, because I could have ended up with Punch and Judy, man. And as Tony Hancock will tell you, there's no future in that. None whatsoever.
Last one I saw was in Torquay in Devon about 2 years ago.
Oh, it's still going. I didn't realise it was still going.
It was seriously rammed. It was on the prom, and this sort of like this kind of like this tent, this straight up tent, if you want to call it that, was there. And the crowd, and there was a little blackboard, and I think the performances, or like an A board, blackboard, 12:30, 2:30, 3:30 or whatever, and it was rammed. And the thing that occurred to me that I thought was quite interesting is, and I'll take your point, Tom, about, it's kind of quite basic stuff, and, is it appropriate to have, Mr. Punch walloping Judy and then the police beating the hell out of Mr. Punch? I don't know. But all of the kids who were watching it were mesmerised, and I thought in this age of technology where we often hear about, social media bans for children and getting kids off tablets and computers and stuff, I thought it was quite heartening to see attention held for about 25 minutes with basically some bloke in an upright tent putting on a couple of silly voices and doing some puppets. But it was properly rammed, yeah. Wow. Mind you, not much to do in Devon, so,
Yeah, but you're right, to get kids off screens is quite an accomplishment, really, isn't it? Or adults even off screens. I'm always a bloody fan.
I find you make your own entertainment at these sorts of things. And obviously I was an arrogant, precocious child, and I kept sitting there thinking, I wish they'd let me go and do something more interesting. My parents had to pay threepence for me to sit there. And oh, God. And so I made my own entertainment by waiting to see the man, because it was a man, come out of the tent when everybody else had gone. Because I wanted to see what he looked like.
Yeah.
And make a judgment about what sort of a person would lead such a strange existence.
What did you
When I presented a children's show called the Saturday Show. It was me and a woman called Isla Sinclair. And Jimmy Greaves as well was a co-presenter, which was fascinating. But the producer was a man called Glyn Edwards. He was a very nice bloke, and he had a lot of talent for television. But it all came tumbling down in my own mind when he told me that his hobby was doing Punch and Judy.
I get the sense, Tom, you're not a fan.
No, nor Basil Brush. Basil Brush never made me laugh. I thought but the character, Basil Brush, was a prat.
Right. Well, let's go through the list then. So, Punch and Judy, you've written off. Basil Brush, you thought was a prat. What about Emu?
I was just about to say Emu.
Nah,
I used to like Emu.
That's one joke. He'd attack the presenter.
Nookie the Bear?
Oh.
Remember
Roger?
Roger de Courcy.
Racist, sexist, terrible stuff.
Orville?
Terrible stuff. Took the mickey out of that gold medal-winning Olympic skater. Can't remember his name. Who, he wasn't the butchest guy in the world, but Nookie Bear made mincing noises when he went up to...
Right.
Nookie Bear was I believe, the host of some award ceremony, and when it was announced that not Robin Cousins, the one before him, had won the award, Nookie Bear was going, oh, like that, to his face. Which was...
all right, okay, Emu.
No, Emu, one joke.
No, forget, I've done Emu. Orville.
Yes.
Where do you stand on Orville?
Orville?
Green Duck.
Yeah, with the tutu.
It was the opposition. I'm not aware of it.
Really?
Now then, I only ever worked with one of those puppets, and that was Roland Rat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Roland the Rat.
And having David Claridge down at knee height to you, lying on all fours, it's not a memory I want to carry with me, but there it is.
Oh, and what about the biggest one, Sooty? You've got to like Sooty.
Yeah.
What have you got? You can't have anything against Sooty and Sweet.
No. Sooty's a right pain in the arse. It's definitely Sweep is the star. Sweep is the star.
Of course.
Sooty is like, oh, really?
It's goody two-shoes.
It's a bit harsh.
Sooty, yeah.
When I worked with Sooty, because I did an edition of Sooty, but not with Harry Corbett, but with the boy, the son, and I cut myself on a piece of broken china. And he said, get a nurse. And I said, no, it's all right. It's only a little cut. He said, I'm not worried about you. I don't want blood on the prop. The prop was Sooty. He referred to Sooty, my Sooty, the Sooty of my childhood, as the prop. And he wasn't bothered about me, and I cut myself. He just wanted to get a plaster on it so that we didn't get blood on the prop. So that rather tainted my overview of Sooty.
You hold a grudge, don't you, Tommy?
I like holding a grudge, don't you?
You do. Well, yeah, I don't think I do, but you do, clearly.
Grudges are really... You've got to have a couple of grudges in life.
Yes.
Was it Churchill who said something along the lines that you should be judged by the quality of your enemies or something? Or,
yes, absolutely.
It's a bit of a hack Churchill quote.
Reminded myself of that whenever I had to come to terms with the fact that Kelvin Mackenzie fired me not once but twice.
Yeah.
And I've always said to people, judge a man by the calibre of his enemies. When he lost the England captaincy, Tony Gregg, a huge South African guy, he was asked by an interviewer, so Tony, you're no longer the England captain. Do you have a grudge? And Tony Gregg is reputed to have replied, "Of course I have a grudge. Where else would I keep my car?"
Very good.
I don't believe it. But that doesn't stop it being a good story.
No, that's good.
No.
Any other puppets you hate, Tom? Whilst we're on, let's just go to. Well, let's go back to, because this was Fireball XL5, which was a Jerry Anderson creation, and there was also famously, what else was there? Captain Scarlet, Thunderbirds, of course. Loved Thunderbirds, particularly Lady Penelope. No, not a fan.
Again, there were puppets, and
Well, no, yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
I
What
know.
about Miss
That's what we're
Piggy?
talking about.
Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy, nearly good.
Nearly good.
Nearly good. Kermit, 5-star. Kermit
There
is
is-
5-star.
There are some
I'll give you
scenes
that.
in the Muppets, and particularly in the various Muppets films, that Miss Piggy from a certain angle is pretty hot.
Okay.
Miss Piggy was hot.
From a certain angle, yeah. I think it's the Muppets Christmas Carol. She's in a fur coat, and I found myself thinking, well, that works.
I can't see that. I did have my trousers twitch when, what's that? Not Jessica Rabbit. When that alluring woman appears.
Betty Boo?
In who
Bob.
Roger Rabbit, the film.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Bob. What's his name's in it?
Hoskins. Yeah.
Hoskins. Yes, and he plays a detective in it, and it's animation.
Who
there's a
framed
sexy-
Roger Rabbit? That was it, wasn't
Yes,
it?
that's the one. Yes, and there's a sexy rabbit in it, or a woman rather.
Is it
Yeah.
Jessica, maybe?
Jessica, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jessica
And
Rabbit.
I did find myself thinking, nice.
Yeah.
But and also Steve Zodiac in Fireball XL5. I wish I were a fireball, flying in the sky. I think that was Frankie Lane sang it. Anyway, he had a girlfriend. He was flying around the universe in Fireball XL5 with a bird, as we used to call women. Don't anymore, of course.
No.
And she was pretty good looking. Looked a bit like Honor Blackman in the Avengers, and I know that works for most men. And women, probably, too.
I was more a Diana Rigg.
Really?
Oh yeah, in the Avengers, definitely, no question.
Well, they're both pretty decent, weren't they?
Did
And
you
of
ever
course, then
watch...
we're back to Joe.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, did you ever watch Spitting Image? We were talking about puppets and stuff.
Never laughed once.
Oh, you don't like anything, do you? You're so
I
grumpy
don't- look,
today.
you can't fake a laugh. You see, that's what drew me to doing stand-up. If you sing a song, Moon River, at the end of it, people applaud. Right? If you tell a joke and no one laughs, you're not funny. If you tell a joke and the audience laugh, then you got something. And I watch Spitting Image religiously for political reasons every Sunday night. Never laughed once. Oh, I did. I laughed once. There was a meeting of the cabinet, shadow cabinet, and they were all there, Roy Jenkins and Dennis Healey, and the leader of the Labour Party at the time was Neil Kinnock. But the implication was that Neil Kinnock was a bit lightweight. So they're having a meeting, and Neil Kinnock is going around the room with a TV aerial. You know, remember you used to have TV aerials? And Neil Kinnock's going around the room trying to get the best picture. And he keeps going, in his Welsh accent, he keeps going, "How about this, boys? Over here any good?" And then the Neil Kinnock character would run through the screen carrying the TV aerial. "How about this, boys? Any better?" And I laughed at that because it's ridiculous. It's not a good script. If you write that down, they were always looking for jokes in Spitting Image, and I thought the performance had to be everything. But you can't get a performance out of a rubber face, can you?
Yeah, I suppose so.
That's what
I
it is.
remember
think.
there used to be at Covent Garden. They used to have the Spitting Image Museum, and going back about 30 years, it's not there anymore. And it was kind of like, I say, a museum. It was kind of like it was a small exhibition, and it would be a kind of they had the police officers. There was a police officer character that was basically a pig in a helmet. There was that there. There's a few other people, and you kind of you go to this. I'm just trying to think where I was in Covent Garden. It's not far from the tube station, and there'd be an audience there, and then the copper would sort of like wave its truncheon at some of the people there, and a few of the other characters. I need to Google it, because otherwise my mind's playing tricks, but I'm pretty sure it was a spitting image museum, or certainly some kind of attraction in London's Covent Garden, but this is going back to the early 1990s. I used to like spitting image. I used to think it was quite subversive.
Daring.
Daring. Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of. I met the bloke who did Margaret Thatcher's voice.
Oh, yeah.
He came onto one of those Saturday morning things that I did, and we were staying in the same hotel, so we had a bite in the restaurant the previous night, and I was joined by Timmy Mallet was also on it, so there was quite a hideous threesome, the three of us. And the conversation turned to whether or not we used public conveniences to do a number 2.
Oh, God.
And they both said they didn't. And I said, well, what if you had what if you were really bursting? And they said, we'd just keep it in until we got home. Can't possibly do a number 2 on a toilet seat that somebody else has sat on. And I couldn't understand that. I said, well, some people wipe it with toilet paper before they sit down on it. And they said, no, that wouldn't work, couldn't do it. One said he tried actually putting toilet paper all the way around the seat, but still couldn't bring himself to sit on it. So I said, doesn't that mean you eat less, so that you can hold on? And he said, yeah, sort of. You calculate when it's going in and when you're going to need to let it come out, so that you're going to be at home to do the deed. And that was the calibre of conversation that we had.
Do people really think like that?
Well, we present.
Oh, I'm not going to have that tangerine, because it might bring forward my number 2 time. I mean, does that actually go through people's minds?
I don't think. No, it's apparently some foods do travel the 28 feet through your digestive system.
Right.
Quicker than others. Sweet corn, apparently.
Oh,
coffee, doesn't that make you go to the loo?
It does, but it doesn't come out as coffee, whereas sweet corn does.
Oh. I think in the name of taste and decency, this is our first visualised pod, isn't it? So I think in the name of taste and decency, because I certainly don't want a conversation about sweet corn travelling through 28 feet of intestine. Should I give the contact details?
Please.
Yes.
Right. So on YouTube, if I got this right, there's 2 things you can do to really help us out. Hit the subscribe button for this. So this is our I think it's fair to say this is now our platform of choice, isn't it? I've not said anything too radical there. But hit the subscribe button. That's really helpful. And also, if you want to leave any comments, you can do so below. And Hayley's in charge of comments. So she looks at the comments and she tells us there are comments. So
I might even reply if you're lucky.
Yeah. So hit subscribe, really helpful, and any comments below. Other ways of getting in contact, you can WhatsApp. I've got to look down here because I haven't memorised the number. It's 07405 341 500, 07405 341 500 for your WhatsApp messages. And I suppose you can you can email as well, which now just sounds really old-fashioned, doesn't it? A bit like a fax email these days, don't you think? It's like a fax, sending an email in this age of social media and whatnot. The email is ramblingretrononsense, which is all one word, at gmail.com.
Talk soon.